service of the Liberia Broadcasting System. Welcome to Newsline, a 30-minute presentation of top news from Liberia and the rest of the world. Today is Wednesday, the 25th of October 2023. I am Vafli Kamara presenting. In the headlines, Liberian political parties intensify political consultations ahead of next month's presidential runoff. Finance Ministry clarifies that government's financial records are intact despite Wednesday morning fire incident. United States government urges political actors to resolve election-related grievances through established legal processes. And away from home, top Nigerian doctor gets lifetime sentencing for raping a teenage girl in Lagos. These and many more stories, including Expose the Water Report, the news in French, are coming up. First is Zokwe Best Corner and the news bulletin.
The standard bearer of the collaborating political parties, Alexander Cummings, has held separate meetings with President George Weah and Ambassador Joseph Boakai. In a statement Tuesday evening, Mr. Cummings said the meetings were intended to inform his decision as to who to support in the runoff. According to the CPP leader, the meetings were held at his residence in Sincor upon the respective requests of President Weah and Ambassador Boakai. Mr. Cummings noted that the CPP will continue engaging both the CDC and the Unity Party as it ponders a position for the runoff, which will be made soon. He promised to address the nation Wednesday to give details as to what will inform the CPP's decision for the second round of the election. Meanwhile, consultations have intensified among political parties ahead of the presidential runoff elections slated for next month. Third place, Edward Apperton, on Tuesday said his decision to support a candidate will reflect the will of the Liberian people. He, however, noted that any decision the grassroots development movement takes will be driven towards the concept of generational change. Lucini Kamara of the All Liberian Coalition Party in fourth place is yet to make a formal decision, though some key figures have given their support to the ruling CDC. Sixth place, Tiawan Gonglo's Liberia People's Party has endorsed Unity Party's Joseph Boakai for the second round of voting. In a statement Wednesday, the LPP said its decision stems from expectation that the Unity Party will implement key policy measures similar to that of the party in its first round. That's its first 100 days in office. Finance Ministry has clarified that government financial records remain intact amid fire outbreak at the ministry. On Wednesday morning, fire broke out in one of the offices of the ministry on third floor of the building. A release quotes the finance ministry as saying the Liberia National Fire Service successfully extinguished the blaze with no loss of lives or injuries. Meanwhile, fire investigators have launched an inquiry into the fire incident. United States government has congratulated Liberians for exercising their democratic rights by voting in the 2023 presidential and legislative elections. In a statement released Wednesday, the U.S. Embassy called on all parties to accept the results peacefully as they represent the will of Liberian voters. The statement quotes the U.S. Embassy as urging political actors to resolve any outstanding election-related grievances through the country's established legal processes. The embassy has hailed the broad participation of Liberians and their commitment and dedication displayed peacefully during the electoral process. Meanwhile, the U.S. government has pledged to continue following the electoral process closely, urging NEC to conduct the presidential runoff election in a free, fair, and peaceful manner. The Liberian government has provided 300,000 United States dollars to the National Elections Commission as balance payment for the runoff elections. The money is part of the total amount budgeted for the 2023 elections. NEC chairperson David Eto Brown Lasana told local media Wednesday that all is now set for the conduct of the runoff elections on the stipulated date as enshrined in the Liberian Constitution. She said the Commission has begun preparations to ensure that all procurable materials are processed and available for the process. The NEC boss hailed government and partners for the level of support to the Commission, describing such interventions as remarkable and enormous. Meanwhile, the National Elections Commission has clarified that registered voters will only vote in areas they previously registered in the first round of the elections and not anywhere. The Commission's clarification is in reaction to widespread speculations that registered voters can vote anywhere in the ensuing presidential runoff since the country is deemed a constituency for the presidential race. But NEC chairperson David Eto Lasana said registered voters will not be allowed to vote anywhere if they fail to proceed to the places they have previously registered. Madam Brown Lasana said the voting process begins with identity check in line with the final registration rule as initial step for an electorate to cast his or her ballot. The NEC boss is therefore encouraging citizens to strictly adhere to the electoral regulations to avoid unnecessary confrontation before polling day across the country. Presidential aide Sekou Kalasko Damaro has hailed citizens of Margibi County for supporting President George Weah in the just ended October elections. Mr. Damaro described the Margibians' support for President Weah in the first round of the elections as demonstration of their desire for more developments. Our correspondent said the presidential aide also urged citizens of the county to vote President Weah in the runoff election. On Tuesday, the National Elections Commission announced a runoff between incumbent President George Weah and Unity Party's presidential candidate Joseph Boakai. And Grand Bassa County rural women are poised to become recipients of $5 million Liberian dollar donation. The money was donated by President George Weah through the National Rural Women Organization to empower members of the Grand Bassa Rural Women Chapter. At a news conference on Tuesday, the coordinator of the Bassa Rural Women Chapter, Madam Varney Twawe, said the money will be used for agricultural projects across the country. Madam Twawe said each rural woman in the 5 districts will receive 900,000 Liberian dollars for the implementation of their respective projects. She also lauded President Weah for the gesture, describing it as a major boost for the rural women in the county.
Zogwe Beslo Corner with the news bulletin. You're listening to Newsline on ELBC Radio. One of the big stories we're following this afternoon, Finance Ministry clarifies that government's financial records are intact despite Wednesday morning fire incident. While Liberians have been congratulated for exercising their democratic rights by voting in the October 2023 presidential and legislative elections. On Tuesday, NEC officially announced that no presidential candidate received 50% plus one of the votes, thus declaring the presidential race to a runoff election. We have a report. The United